A legacy of freedom from slavery, a celebration of the poetic arts. Apart from its trailways, gullies, and the famous Harrison's Cave, that's what the parish of St. Thomas represents. And tonight, the Rock Hall Freedom Village, a spot in the parish where ex-slaves built the first freehold settlements in Barbados, poetry will bloom in all its glory as the 2025 We Gatherin celebrations continue. Internationally acclaimed Barbadian poet Adissa Antwele, known by stage name Aja, hails from St. Thomas, inspiring poetry at Rock Hall. We hear from Director of the 2025 We Gatherin Secretariat, Senator John King, ahead of the event.
And this is where the top poets in Barbados get together uh, to entice, to educate, to entertain the audience, but they also get the opportunity to award themselves for the work that has been done for a number of years in the realm of poetry.
Aja will be there amongst a dozen poets spitting bars in the place that best represents freedom on the island.
Adja is one of the leading poets in Barbados. He is from St. Thomas. And this space in itself, because of its cultural and heritage significance, is a place where we often ask people to come and contemplate. If you understand the history of Rock Hall itself as being the first, what we could call freedom village, so to speak, where after slavery, this was one of the first places where the formerly enslaved had the opportunity to purchase land and build homes for themselves. And the significance of it, poetry, as you know, deals with all sorts of things. It's from social difficulties to the dreams and hopes and aspirations of tomorrow. It covers all human endeavor. And so what better a place than to be in this place where, from a spiritual standpoint, you have, if you look around you, this wonderful monument and its surroundings.
Besides tonight's event, Poetry at Rock Hall, Senator King believes people need to embrace the significance of the venue, the Rock Hall Freedom Village, including the stairs connecting the various parts.
This signifies that journey that our ancestors would have taken not only from Africa to Barbados, but from chattel slavery on the plantation to freedom. It was not a straight line, it was winding. It had all sorts of different problems, starts and stops, all things that they had to deal with. So it would just imagine that when you're coming to this monument, you have to take that same journey to get here. And the whole idea is for you to think about, what life would have been like for these persons who managed to get this land. What the joy was it they're able to pass on that land to their own from their forefathers to the next generations.
There is even more significance.
I don't think that people in Barbados have enough of this story. I believe it's something that should be taught in schools because it's a monumental part of our history. And the same way that we can learn about the things that the British developed in Barbados, and we can honor that and we can respect those things, just as we're getting ready for 400 years of Barbados being Barbados under British rule. Um, you know, we can celebrate and share that story with everybody in Barbados, because all of these different things contribute to who we are as a people.
Since the village opened in 2020, it's also become an entrepreneurial hub.
The one thing that we had was in the initial stages, this spot is famous for the biggest and the best queue in the community that Barbados has ever seen. And it's not me saying that. This is what we were told when it actually came off here some years ago. And I'm hoping that this is a space that those persons in St. Thomas who are Q fans would see this as the place to come and have your Q, because by all reports that we have, when the Q was held here, everyone said it was just magnificent. And again, it's tribute to the spot, what it means to people, especially when they get to know the story. Because like I said earlier, a lot of people don't seem to know this story very well. And maybe We Gathering gives us the opportunity to get that story told again and to also get people to come to see this lovely space and to celebrate it for what it is. Just behind me is the actual monument itself. Like you said, that was put here some years ago, 2005. And that, again, if you look at it, it speaks to whom? That African family. You got mother, child, father. And if you look at it, they're free. You know, no shackles on. That's the freedom that you talk about. Now, some of the things that have happened over the years is if you look at the shape of, and I'm going to step out of it, step out.
It's okay. You stay
Yeah?
where you are.
Okay, so if you look at the shape of the surroundings of the ship, you notice that the front of it is like the bow of a ship or a boat. That signifies the spiritual way of us going back east, going back to Africa in a spiritual type of way. And they came on a boat, we go back on a boat. But this one is not a physical boat, although this is the physical boat, but it's more in a spiritual kind of way. If you look at the handrails, you'll see some symbols engraved in them. Those are what we call Akan symbols. All of them have meanings. This one here, for instance, means the supremacy of God. And they're, again, very spiritual meanings attached to these things that could generate some sense of pride in you when you understand what they mean. The shops that we see across the ravine or the gully, whichever words we want to use, are again the entrepreneurial aspect of Rock Hall, where people carry out their business. In between the shops, you have some little spaces where we have coconut vendors and others who come in ever so often and play their trades and do things like that. So the whole idea of this now is to get this village activated as an integral part of our tourism offerings, but also to get Barbadians to see this as another outdoor space where they can bring their families, get a little bit of history, learn a little bit more about themselves, and enjoy peace, quiet, tranquility, and also a place where you can meditate and think about what do you want to do with your life, what do you want to do with your family, think about the struggle that these people had to go through in order for us to be where we are today.
And great effort is made to upkeep it.
It's a monumental effort to keep this in pristine condition. As you know, the NCC is responsible for all public parks, and this is one that has been added. This is an addition, come on in the last 5 years or so, 5 years or so. So it's a lot of work, but it's not beyond us to get it done. And so as we go through We Gathering, these are a lot of the things that we want to be able to highlight for people as places for people to come and visit. But also it speaks a lot about us as a people as to how we appreciate and how we deal with these particular kinds of spaces.
After tonight, Senator King has a vision for poetry at Rock Hall.
Poetry that is coming up on the 21st, if they pick that up, that becomes an annual event, which means people become more accustomed to it. As it grows, it attracts international attention. Next thing you know, you have poets coming from the region, probably coming from the rest of the world to be a part of poetry. These are the kinds of initiatives that we want to see started at the community level, but to move from community to regional to international events.
So come long to St. Thomas, come long to poetry at Rock Hall for the history, for the poetry. Stacey Russell, CBC News.